Hello, America. Today's show topics include Russia hacking our energy grid, fake news, or much ado about nothing. Damn millennials don't know nothing. The VA is dealing in opiates and profiles in history. So, sit back, buckle up, and hang on because we're just getting started.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, how are you doing? I'm your host, Daniel Stafford, and you're listening to the Stafford Voice, where we are conservative in a world of liberal. And tonight, we're talking about Russia hacking our energy grid, whether it's fake news or if it's much ado about nothing. We're going to talk about some millennials and whether they know something or not. And something kind of heartbreaking that goes along with a VA story tonight. I think we all know that there's problems with the VA, and it just turned out that, well, they've been dealing opiates to our veterans. And then at some point, we will finally be able to get to profiles in history, your favorite part, and mine. But I want to remind you that there are many ways to listen, so set the channel as a favorite, click subscribe, click like, give a thumbs up, whatever it have to do so you don't get left behind. If for some strange, crazy reason you do miss the show, you will be able to catch the replay, so just sit tight. There's absolutely no need to panic because, hey, I've got you. And in the case you aren't already following on social media, you can find me over on Twitter or Gab at Stafford Voice. That's on Twitter or Gab at Stafford Voice. Or you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or any other social site of your choosing. Wherever, just search for the Stafford Voice, and we're more than likely going to be there. Also, since you're going to already be out on the interwebs, do us a favor, head over to thestaffordvoice.com and subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't done so already. Sorry, I'm just trying to check and make sure I hit all the right buttons, but it looks like we are ready to go. And, well, I don't really have a bottom line for you, because I feel like it's been forever. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks, it seems like, but since we've been able to talk, and it seems like we've got so much to catch up on. If you guys missed it on social media, my wife and we're going to be grandparents. We are super excited, and I think I talked about that last show. But man, it seems like forever, and I just want to make sure that you guys that you guys are up to date on things. Let's see, what else major has happened? Oh yeah, Christmas. I hope you guys had a great Christmas. We did here at the house. We had a fantastic time with family. Spent some time with some friends. Also, New Year's, we had a good time. Part of all of that was kind of linked together as we one of the gifts we got from my cousins and my aunt, they got us some tickets to Cirque du Soleil, and so we went there yesterday, and we watched that. It was a fantastic show. Highly recommended if they are in your neighborhood, or if within an hour of driving distance. Do yourself a favor and go watch a Cirque du Soleil show. This one was it was about bugs, and it was about an egg, basically. The show was called Ovo, which I don't know what language that's for, but it means egg, maybe French, I don't know. I'm not a linguistic. linguistician or whatever you'd call that. But I do know that we had a great time. Unfortunately, they had some photo Nazis that would not let us take pictures. It seemed like every 5 minutes there was somebody from the arena's crew that would walk by and say, "Excuse me, I need you to put the phone away. Please, no pictures." Miss, excuse me, miss, put the phone away. No pictures. Have some respect. Anyway, aside from all of that, we had a great time. So I think that catches you up to where we are now. By the way, if you are paying attention to the vlogs, then you already know this. If not, no big deal. But I'll be starting something new, and it's going to hit on Thursdays. No, we're not doing another show throughout the week, but we are. What I'm doing is I want to be able to give you more. Some of you guys have asked for a little more. So I've listened, and I'm going to try. And one of my ideas is we're going to play on the idea of a hashtag Thursday Thoughts. And the idea is that, I've always got things running through my mind, whether it's I'm thinking about the Constitution and I just want to share something and I don't write it down because I get lazy, or I see a quote and I want to talk about it. So, or maybe there's an article or something on my mind and I want to talk about it. And obviously I kind of like to talk, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to film these. I'll post them on the YouTubes. It's kind of going to be like a micro vlog, I guess, if you wanted to call it anything. But yeah, we're going to call it Thursday Thoughts. It's going to be a new series over on the YouTubes. So if you're not subscribed over there, you need to do so, and you also need to hit the little bell next to the subscribe button so you get an alert every time there's an upload or the show goes live, whatever. So let's see, what else? I talked about this briefly in our last vlog that dropped New Year's morning. Yesterday. Yes, yesterday morning. Our website, thestaffordvoice.com. If you haven't been over in a while, you'll see that we've kind of scaled back on some things. Mainly just to make sure that the readability of the website is giving you the best bang for the buck. And I know that there's no fees or anything like that we try and force on you. There are some websites out there that put this big, huge pop-up over the screen, and if you don't log in or you're not a paid subscriber, well, they're not going to give you any content. So that drives me absolutely bonkers. Well, so what I've done while I was doing some updates on the back end, I completely got rid of all the ads. And that does two things. One is it clears up the screen so you get the content and that's it. Because that's the main reason why you go. You want to read the content, or you want to study something. Or you may even be watching the show over there. But here's the other thing. That with a positive, there seems to always be a negative. The downside is all of this stuff that we do, there are costs involved. There's costs involved with the software to run the show, to make sure that all the music and the ads that play and from sponsors and stuff like that, there are costs involved with having that software. There's costs involved with being able to produce the video content. There are costs involved with being able to put together the vlogs and stuff like that. We don't ask for money. We do it. I do it because I love it. I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I love this. I get so much excitement out of getting behind the microphone here, and which, there's costs behind all of the hardware. But in order for us to be able to do this, I wanted to get rid of the ads, because I don't even like them. I don't like them to be there. So if you want to think about it this way, think of it as though it's a street performance. You're walking downtown, and there's a guy playing the drums on 5-gallon buckets, and he's got a hat out there, and he's not asking for anything. He's putting on the show because he loves to play the drums, or they like to sing or play the guitar or whatever. But they have a hat or a little bucket out there, and you drop $1 in and you say, dude or lady, I appreciate what you're doing. I like it. Thank you. It's a simple thank you. So there's two ways that you can help. One of which is over on the YouTubes. I believe that there is a small button, and it's very small. So kudos to YouTube for keeping it small and not obtrusive. And we've done the same thing over on the StaffordVoice.com, where we've made that donation button super small. So if you feel like you want to drop $1 or $2 in the bucket, it's all on you. We're not going to chase the dollar, because that's not why we're here. But just want you to know that there are costs involved in this. That it takes an immense amount of internet speed to be able to push the show in HD, to also at the same time be able to run the radio software so we can be able to talk to you if you're just listening on a podcast or something like that. So with all of that said, we got rid of the ads. If you want to drop $1 in the bucket, feel free to do so. But we're not here for the money. We're here because we love this. We love being able to open our homes and our hearts to you guys, because this stuff really matters. And maybe there's a bit of a transition in the way things are going to go in 2017 with the show and on the backside of things. But I am super, super excited about what's to come. So with all of that being said, let's dive into our first story. And wow, I'm not watching the time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break real quick. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Russia hacking our energy grid, fake news or much ado about nothing. And it's going to tie into another topic that kind of hit me like a ton of bricks over the weekend. So it's going to give me some direction, because I've not been able to stop thinking about it. Also, it's going to give you a chance to head over to one of the two chat rooms over at KLRN. radio.com/chat-room, or I think that's what it is. Don't kill me for if I don't remember. Head over to klrnradio.com. You can check out the chat room over there, and you can chat with like-minded individuals. Or if you're watching on the YouTubes, you can join Army John and chat with us over there, because Army John thinks that Bernie Sanders would give us the internet completely free. Nothing in life is free. So, without further ado, we're going to take a short little break. I'm going to take a swig of water, and when we come back, let's talk about Russian fake news. We'll be right back.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Nothing will protect you quite like your sidearm, so why not give it the protection it deserves? Something as strong as the Second Amendment and stands the test of time, and better yet, made in the USA. A Rebel Road Tactical Custom Kydex holster is that and more. Call now and place your order with Rebel Road Tactical at 682-217-4579. Again, 682-217-4579, or online at rebelroadtactical.com.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You are listening to the Stafford Voice. And right now, we're going to dive into our first topic. And our first topic tonight is whether Russia is hacking our energy grid or if it's fake news. A little bit of much ado about nothing. Well, let me kind of go through what I saw over the weekend. So, follow me on this. Fox News. And I'm not going to hold back from name dropping tonight. Fox News posted about this over the weekend, that Russia-linked malware was found on a U.S. electric company's laptop. So here's how this article starts out. Malware code linked to Russian hackers and found on a Vermont electric utilities computer is further evidence of predatory steps taken by that country against the U.S., a Vermont Democratic congressman said Saturday. The Burlington Electric Department confirmed Friday it had found on one of its laptops the malware code used in Grizzly Steep, the name Homeland Security has applied to a Russian campaign linked to recent hacks. The company said U.S. utilities were alerted by the Department of Homeland Security on Thursday of the code. Quote, this attack shows how rampant Russian hacking is. It's systemic, relentless, predatory, Representative Peter Welch said in a statement. Quote, they will hack everywhere, even Vermont, in pursuit of opportunities to disrupt our country. There's a couple of other things that was said, but anyway. So, alarm. What? Russia has hacked our energy grid, our electric companies? You gotta be kidding me. Well, no, not really, okay? Maybe it's foe instead of fox, but... So, I looked at this a little deeper, and I gotta find... Here it is. Okay. Over at westernjournalism.com, they posted about this very topic because, as we all know, faux news has been in the news for a little while, at least since the end of the election. Everybody's been talking about fake news and faux news and this and that. Anyway. And my eyes always get drawn to stuff that has to do with Russia. For some reason, somewhere in the back of my brain, it is completely and utterly obsessed with Russia and the amount of propaganda and crap that they try and pull. So over at Western Journalism, I noticed that they posted about this as well. But they said that there's just one problem. Let's see. In the second paragraph here, it says, in the initial version of the story, the Washington Post headlined its report, quote, Russian hackers penetrated U.S. secure electricity grid through a utility in Vermont, officials say. And then it goes on to say in this article, the computer was not connected to the power grid, the company said. They also, the Public Service Commissioner in Vermont, Christopher Richia, told the Burlington Free Press, the grid is not in danger. And then Western journalism, just a couple of paragraphs later, touched on the fact that the Washington Post changed its headline to read this: Russian operation hacked a Vermont utility, showing risk to U.S. electrical grid security, officials say. Okay. So what is really happening? If you're following along in the chat over on the YouTubes, Jessica pointed out something that was very important. The laptop wasn't connected to anything, aside from the fact that almost every single electronic device out there has malware on it, okay? Whether you want to admit it or not, there's malware. Let's see. Army John says he saw the forensic report. The Russian hack to the power grid was nothing more than common spyware, keylogger, etc., found on the employee's laptop. Okay, look, we get this. This laptop wasn't plugged in at all. So let's take a look real quick at what Washington Post originally posted about. They said, this is the second paragraph in the article. While the Russians did not actively use the code to disrupt operations, according to officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss a security matter, the discovery underscores the vulnerabilities of the nation's electrical grid, and it raises fears in the U.S. government that Russian government hackers are actively trying to penetrate the grid to carry out potential attacks. Then they go on to say that Burlington Electric said in a statement that the company detected a malware code used in the Grizzly Steep operation in a laptop that was not connected to the organization's grid systems. Yeah, we got it. It wasn't connected. So, much ado about nothing, or what? This never was. Okay, I'm going to echo what Jessica just said. The electrical grid was never in danger. Okay? It wasn't. If anything, it only highlights one thing. And we're going to talk about this here in just a minute, so stay with me. Okay? Oh, John, you're going to get me off topic. He says the spyware signature for this Russian hack is known as COA. Cover Obama's... Yeah. That sounds like a paper trying to get readers. It is. This is why mainstream media is failing at an alarming rate. Because they have to put out crap. And shame on Fox News for jumping on the bandwagon. Shame on them. If you would have at least read the damn article that Washington Post originally put out, it says at least 2 or 3 times the laptop was never connected. Never connected to the grid at all. It wasn't in danger. One bit. This was just spyware, malware. You could have went to novostry.ru and got the same malware or the same spyware. You can go over to one Russian website. Hell, I probably have it on my computers because I look at Russian stuff. Not that Russian stuff. News, okay? I don't have time for any of that. This is much ado about nothing. If anything, it proves what everybody has been saying, that the media has their own agenda, and their agenda is completely opposite of what we're doing here. We try and I work really hard to try and prevent things like that from happening. And if I do get a fact wrong, then please call me out on it and I will correct myself. But this crap is ridiculous. These people are supposedly trusted news organizations like Fox News and Washington Post. Now you know why people call it Washington Compost or faux news. Because the majority of the time it seems like they get it wrong. Nobody trusts mainstream media anymore. And I'm going to go into this a little later this week for my Thursday thought. I got so many things just tying themselves back to each other. Let's see. Jessica says that she surfs Iran, North Korea, and Russian sites. So she scans her PC daily. It's great information to have, or to at least at minimum once a week if you're out there perusing those types of sites. Army John says it's a distraction. The news story has done its job. Keep people talking about anything else other than Obama's failures. Obama is going to do enough about that when he gives his exit speech. The mainstream media, Jessica says, the mainstream media is the make-believe media. They make up the news and make you believe it. It's true. Really, all you have to do is do a little bit of digging. And for the most part, they put this stuff right in your face. Even the Washington Post, when they said the laptop was not connected to the organization's grid systems. It's just some guy's laptop. Shame on the Washington Post. Shame on Fox News. Kudos to, who was it? Western Journalism for highlighting the fact that these guys screwed up. But it brings us to another point. And here's what the point is that I want to make. Do millennials know anything? Why would I bring this up? And I honestly think that these two things are tied together. Because if, that's a big if, okay? I'm using quotation marks here. A big, huge, ginormous, huge. It's bigly, okay? Huge. Idea that if somebody was to be able to penetrate our electrical grid or our critical infrastructure like water or electricity, what would happen? In all honesty, do millennials, and I'm using that in a very broad sense, because there are a lot of people, even older than I am, that don't know the necessary skills in order to survive. And I ran into a post over the weekend that, and this really made me think about this. Am I even ready? You know, I have a particularly interesting set of skills. They would shrivel up and die within 24 hours because they couldn't charge their iPhones and iPads. And that's exactly my point, John. Exactly my point. Okay? I have a special set of skills. And no, yes, I'm quoting a movie, but I have skills. I served in the military. I learned some there. But that wasn't enough. That was just a primer. So when I got out into the real world and you start applying these things, because that's key, applying, you can't just watch a simple YouTube video and expect to be able to know how to do something. That's not how this works, and fast forward a few years, when I'm when I'm spending time with Boy Scouts and I'm a scout leader, now I'm entrusted in teaching and bringing up the next generation so they have those skills. These are basic fire starting skills, basic building skills, to be able to cut a 2x4 and nail them together, to be able to wire in a new light switch, or be able to hook up a new plug in the wall, or do some sheetrock, change a tire, change your oil, wiper blades on your vehicle. But there's a little more to it. When you get into things like foraging and learning how to grow your own food, learning how to skin an animal, to hunt. I mean, what are you going to do if the power grid goes down? You can't go to your supermarket and buy a steak or a pork chop or a packet of bacon. I mean, we've got a couple of packs of bacon in the fridge at all times, but that's because we're always prepared, okay? Never do we run out of bacon. That's un-American. But you need to know these skills. I mean, if I could get a show of hands, how many of you out there can sew a button on your pants or hem your own pants? How many of you can cook a meal? Jessica, I'm sorry to hear that no bacon for you because you're allergic. I totally get it. I know another lady that has a protein allergy and she can't eat meat. So my heart goes out to you. Let's see. Army John says, I wonder how many Boy Scouts I trained that know the proper application of high explosives to blow up a bridge. We didn't blow up a bridge, and I explained how to do it. I did. I did show my son how to do a few things. I did. But I can cook, I can clean, I can sew, I can mow, I know how to do a lot of things. And it's not because I've watched a YouTube video or I read it in a book or a magazine or I saw it online, because, everything's online is real. If you see it on the internet, it has to be true, right? Question of the century, can millennials boil water? Don't know. How many millennials out there would be able to get water in order to boil? I mean, let me highlight a couple of things in this opinionated article that I came across. And this guy is prior service. He was a captain. I don't know if it was I don't know what branch of service. He says, if we traveled into a big city in America and tested the knowledge and skills of average people on the street who grew up with the internet, we would learn that the majority of them don't have even the simplest knowledge or skills needed to survive for a couple of weeks in the wilderness, let alone for months or years. They likely couldn't survive even a week without any technology in the wilderness. Jessica wants to know how many Boy Scouts could even start a fire or live off the land for 24 to 48 hours. I know of at least 10 that could. Guaranteed. Because each one of them was mine, and, well, I was the wilderness survival. One of the merit badges that I was in charge of was the wilderness survival merit badge. They loved it. They loved doing the wilderness survival, and by any stretch of the imagination, I didn't take anything lightly. And for the most part, I was a scout leader for 6 years, I think, 5 to 6 years, and not once during that time did I ever use a tent or anything. All I had was a sleeping bag and anything I could carry on my back. And I didn't cook a typical Boy Scout tinfoil dinner. No, I made pizza. I made chicken enchiladas. I showed these guys how to make good food while you're out there. I mean, we went out and we looked for wild onions. We chopped some wild onions and added it to our food, and not a single one of them died. I made each one of them learn how to light the fire. I mean, anyway, let's stick on topic. But there are a handful of millennials out there that I know would be able to do it. Let's see. He went on to say that they become largely dependent upon the internet for their knowledge base, as opposed to memorizing key information that was a paradigm of the past. And did you teach them how to make a Swedish stove? I'm gonna have to say I'm sorry. I can't remember what a Swedish stove is. But they knew how to cook on a campfire. And most of them had their own little pocket stoves that we would either make out of Coke cans, out of pop cans, or other type of other means of little pocket stoves. A log split into four, a light I guess I didn't know what it was called. But yeah, I know about those. I've never made one. I don't think any of my scouts ever made one. But he said the foregoing isn't about berating anyone, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to call anybody out. Well, I guess really I am. I want... The last thing you want is an unprepared society. Well, he goes to say it's not about berating anyone. It's to showcase how ill-prepared these people are for any kind of life without the internet and the support of the government and business in order to just stay alive in the cities of today. And that's key. Take away the internet, what happens? Well, they're going to rely on the government or somebody else to do it for them. Let's see. He went on to say that prior to the advent of the internet, pre-1980, people had to learn skills and memorize knowledge, but that's changed. For instance, how many people do you know personally who can rebuild the engine or the transmission of your car? I can. I've built an engine. I've never done an automatic transmission, but I can swap out manual transmissions, automatic transmission. I can do mid-level mid-level automotive work. Let's see, how many people can milk a cow or a goat? I've done it. How many can make a fire with just the things found in nature? Yes. How identify any of the stars in the sky overhead or navigate through the wilderness without a compass or GPS? I actually laughed about that one. I remember the time when I taught my scouts how... you gotta be kidding me. I'm that far in the show? That's ridiculous. Look, I can remember the time that I showed my scouts how to use a watch instead of a compass. They were blown away. You know what? I'm going to have to continue this on a Thursday Thought, or we're going to have to talk about it during the vlog, or another time. Let me see what John says. He says the opposite of critical thinking is intuitive thinking with the readily disposable information. The rise of intuitive thinking and replaced critical thinking. And that, my friends, is spot on. Because, look, I love critical thinking. I am not afraid to just sit there and think. It is a lost art, the ability to think for yourself. For the most part, society leans on the guy next to him, and you can't do that. I need to write that down as a Thursday Thought. See, getting my juices flowing here with the whole start of the new year and looking forward. Anyway, and then he went on to try and say that we need to wake up to the fact that if we fail to prepare properly now while it's possible, We could be facing a very ugly situation in the near future, and I could not agree any more. But I hope that the title isn't discouraging. There are some millennials out there that do know the skills. They would be able to do it. But for the most part, I don't think those of us that know the skills and have had hands-on experience with doing them are doing enough to go out and teach. I'm calling myself out on that. Let me see. John says, my favorite Macgyver moment is Mr. Spock took a bed spring and put it up to an incandescent light and made a phaser to blow open a jail cell lock. That's a skill he wants to learn. Okay, Macgyver moment. John, you're going to get a kick out of this. I'm going to tell this story real quick, and then we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do profiles in history. I'm sorry, we're just not going to be able to fit the VA story in. I may just have to put together a video for that one. Okay, Macgyver moment. I've got a friend. We'll call him Joe, because that's his name. So Joe was going out on a family vacation, and they had to stop for gas. And I guess while they were at the gas station, there was somebody there that was having some car issues, some vehicle issues. So he goes over and he asks him, hey, what's going on? And he said, well, I can't get my car going and we're trying to go on vacation. Got everything packed up. We're heading out. And this is like really hurting progress here. Well, my friend Joe is a mechanic. By far one of the best ones I've ever met. I mean, you can basically describe what your issue is over a phone in the worst possible way. And he'll be able to basically figure out what it is. The guy's incredible. He has taught me so many things. So he knew how the ignition system worked on this vehicle. So here's what he did. He went inside the gas station, borrowed a paperclip, and he got under the dash. No, he's not related to Joe the plumber. And my friend Joe does not like plumbing. He does not like plumbing. It's the one thing, it's his kryptonite. But he takes this paperclip and he crawls up under the dash of this guy's vehicle. And he knew that, this circuit kind of worked with this one. So he takes this paperclip and he creates a jumper from one fuse to the next to be able to give the ignition system enough juice to start. And the guy that was having vehicle issues was completely blown away, and he says, well, what's going on here? So my friend Joe says, well, you got two choices. You can either go home or you can head out on vacation, and when you get done, go to the shop and fix it. Well, he kind of saved the day for the family. They went on their merry way, went on vacation, and a couple of days later, he showed up at the shop, and Joe wound up, I think Joe wound up fixing the guy's vehicle anyway. But it's those types of skills that people need to know. You can't really always rely on somebody else to do it for you. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at with the whole millennial thing. Millennials, in a nutshell, think that somebody else is going to do it for them because whatever they're already working on is more important. Anyway, okay, we got to take a short, quick break, and, well, when we come back, we're going to cover profiles in history, and because we're just not going to have time to cover our VA story tonight. It's just not going to happen. So, when we come back, profiles in history, absolutely fascinating person. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
And we are back. And we are set for your favorite and mine. Profiles in history. He was the Jay Leno or the Colbert of his time, writing many poems, songs, and satires. One of his more popular works was the song The Battle of the Kegs, about an attempt to sink British ships at Philadelphia during the Revolutionary War by floating explosive-filled barrels down the Delaware River. The British responded to the mines by shooting at anything that floated, and, well, he couldn't resist mocking the British as they bravely battled the barrels. Francis Hopkinson was born in Philadelphia on September 21st, 1737. He was in the first class to graduate from the College of Philadelphia in 1757. Receiving his master's in 1760 and later an honorary doctor in law in 1790. His interests and skills were all over the place. He wrote poems, satires, songs, and composed music. He even painted and drew cartoons, but none of that really paid the bills or put food on the table. In 1763, Hopkinson was appointed as customs collector for Salem, New Jersey. However, from May 1766 to August 67, he spent his time in England with the hopes of being Commissioner of Customs for North America. He was unsuccessful and returned back to New Jersey, operating a dry goods business. He married Anne Borden on September 1st, 1768, and together they had 5 children. They moved to Bordenton, New Jersey, in 1774, where he would become a member of the New Jersey Provincial Council and be admitted to the New Jersey Bar on May 8th, 1775. After the New Jersey legislature imprisoned the royal governor, Hopkinson was picked as part of the new delegation to the Continental Congress. His time there was short-lived. From June 22nd to November 30th, 1776, a lot had happened, including having voted for and signing the Declaration of Independence. When he departed Congress, he did so to serve on the Navy Board at Philadelphia. The board reported to the Marine Committee, of which he was appointed to while in Congress, and he later became the Navy Board's chairman. In 78, he was treasurer of the Continental Loan Office. He would also be appointed as judge of the Admiralty Court of Pennsylvania in 1779 and reappointed in 80 and 87. Now, also during that year, he helped ratify the Constitution during the 1787 convention. Now, Washington nominated Hopkinson on September 24th, 1789, as a federal circuit judge for United States District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. He was confirmed by the United States Senate and received commission on September 26th. On November 10th, Hopkinson opened court, the first operating court under the Constitution. Another first for Hopkinson, one of which he was especially proud of, was the composition of the music for the first original American song put down on paper, titled "My Days Have Been So Wondrous Free." On May 9th, 1791, the life of Francis Hopkinson was suddenly cut short at the age of 53 from an apoplectic seizure. The record of his life didn't end there, though. One of the biggest areas of debate while he was alive was his contribution to the design of the flag of the United States, which Congress officially adopted the Stars and Stripes as the official national flag on June 14th, 1777. The resolution creating the flag came from the Continental Marine Committee, of which Hopkinson became a member in 76. Here's where the debate begins. Most of us have credited Betsy Ross. However, the journals of the Continental Congress support the idea as recognizing Hopkinson as the designer. He even sent a letter requesting compensation from Congress on May 25th, 1780. At best, it was as comical as only Francis was known to be. He asked for a quarter cask of the public wine as payment for not only designing the U.S. flag, but also for his contributions toward the Great Seal of the United States and various others. After some bureaucratic back and forth that only Washington is known for today, Congress eventually settled on refusing payment for the reason that Hopkinson was already paid as a public servant as a member of Congress. Now, either way you look at it, Francis Hopkinson's humor and artistic talents have found their outlets in freedom and a flag that continues to fly. And that is this week's Profiles in History. That guy was a lot of fun to research. There were a couple of other things I wanted to include, like the idea that he was a tiny, petite guy, and some people even kind of made fun of him for it. But anyway, a giant in the history books, if I do say so myself. Okay, now, unfortunately, I'm checking the time, and it's all we have time for this week. God willing, the Stafford Voice will be back next week. You can follow me over on the Twitters or Gab at Stafford Voice. Or you can look me up on Facebook by looking for the Stafford Voice, or whatever your social media choice is. We're pretty much there. If not, hit me up and we'll get there. We're even over on the Pinterest. Also, I'll be back. Yes, you'll be back, Arnold Voice. Thanks, John. Okay, by the way, you guys need to do me a favor. If you don't follow Army John over on the Twitters, please do so. The guy he's one of the very few people that will openly admit they've got my 6, and I've got that guy's 6 no matter what. Love Army John. He's part of my accountability crew. So whenever I'm not feeling it, I check in with them, and they hold me accountable like you wouldn't believe. And I love them for it. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything, what's his handle on Twitter? At Army John. Let me see. Email your questions, comments, or concerns to thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Again, that's thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your time, and until next week, thanks, and God bless.